That's right back, Charlie. That's right.
There's always just that active when that defenders, I think, is like. There's always just that active when that defenders, I think, is like. There's always just that active when that defenders, I think, is like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Come on. Just as Ian Wright said there, people deluded, I'm back again. First things first, appreciative to you lot locked in across YouTube and Twitch. If you're on YouTube, do me a favor, smash the like button. As usual, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, in some cases, good night. Obviously, I hope you lot are having a great start to the week off the back of a great weekend. In relation to my Monday, frustrating is how I would describe it for myself personally. I'm a bit annoyed, you know. Again, I tried to get a video out for you lot actually before we went live now, and between copyright strikes and all of these things, it's just jarring, just bare jarring things. Adobe Premiere Pro can be quite temperamental, but nonetheless, we keep it moving, man. We're here. Let's go over in a second everything that is in relation to Arsenal. Shout out Charles. Arteta needs to work on man management. He's undermined Ramsdale. Even Tomiyasu doesn't seem the same. I disagree, Charles, because what has he actually done that is wrong to Ramsdale? For argument's sake, what is wrong? Like, what has he actually done that's wrong? He's given you a platform to play. Do your thing. You know, as much as I do think Ramsdale could have played a lot more things. If he thinks Raya, and again, whether he does it is another thing, but if he thinks Raya is better than him, if he thinks Raya is more aligned to what he wants, if he thinks Raya can get us closer to whatever he wants, that's it. I'm not being funny, but it's not the Ramsdale, Bukayo Saka, anyone's club. It's Arsenal. So, you know, feelings come before stuff. And with Tomiyasu, you know, Tomiyasu, I disagree vaguely as well, because I think he's always talked up Tomiyasu. He's always given him opportunities. Obviously, Zinchenko's lost his spot for a sec. Tomiyasu came in. Obviously, if Benjamin White was fit, I'd expect Tomiyasu probably even plays left back against Brentford, and it's given a good reaction. There's got to be competition, really. I do think there's times, and I can't really talk on things, but a certain former striker where Arteta, you know, certain things that are not public, you know, certain things with a previous striker, if they were public knowledge, I think that's a case of man management. But I don't think he's done anything wrong with Ramsdale. You know, he's evaded every question possible. I mean, you know, doesn't owe Ramsdale anything. Do I see why Raya has been brought in? You know, crystal clear improvement? No, but I don't know what else he's supposed to do, Charles, really and truly. It's not the Aaron Ramsdale show. We always ask our manager or our football club to be harsh, make difficult decisions, and then we start seeing that and things are happening, man. Dropped, but not much encouragement Saturday. I mean, you're starting, innit? You know, you got dropped because Raya's number one. That was his first charge. That was his first target. I disagree, really. You know, what much encouragement is there? You got to play a game. Ramsdale's at that stage where you have to carry yourself along, really and truly. I do think there's been questions with it, but I don't think there's any hardcore evidence at the moment to suggest that with Ramsdale. Now, obviously, if Mikel Arteta has told Raya you're the number one and Ramsdale you're the number two, or as he said, both of you are, you know, number ones and the best man wins, then that's another thing. But I disagree. Like, I don't think there's anything really with this Ramsdale thing. You know, I'm not saying you, Charles, because I don't think you're necessarily wrong, but half the people that were crying about this Ramsdale stuff, they were saying he needs to be improved on and there's shortcomings and things like that. And I don't think it's healthy for Ramsdale or Raya. Every mistake is magnified. And then when Raya plays, we talk about Ramsdale, we talk about Raya. You've got to go and get your spot, really. You know, Ramsdale, this thing is not a fairy tale. You know, you signed for Arsenal. People doubted your signing. You proved a lot of people wrong. Arteta is the one that signed you, playing week in, week out. You signed the new deal. You've played week in, week out. Now you have to fight for your spot. Even if Ramsdale becomes the number one, Raya's right behind you. And with the greatest of respect to Matt Turner, there's levels, man. And I'm on that, Charles, as well. Get a new keeper. If there's the next Allison or Edison and they're levels above them, then for me, I'm on binning them both. If I'm honest with you, Ramsdale ain't exactly covering himself in glory with a little mistake like Saturday. As much as I love the lad, getting caught in possession, trying to play out from the back is exactly why Arteta has doubts. I don't think it's necessary. Obviously, Ramsdale's made 2 glaring mistakes. I personally think Arteta is more angry where there's a little cutscene from the game where he's telling him to play short. He's gone long, and a number of times Arteta's furious. I think it's that. Obviously, when you play out from the back, we've seen Edison make 1-2 mistakes. You know, Allison hardly makes mistakes, but in the last game across the weekend, he made a mistake. And there's, you know, even when we beat them, when we beat Liverpool at the Emirates, remember when Reece Nelson and Lacazette scored? Allison made that. When you play out from the back, those things, even Raya against, was it Lens away? They're going to happen. That is just a byproduct, really and truly. So I don't think he's onto him for that necessarily, but I just think Raya's got a cooler head. But I don't think, you know, I couldn't sit here and just say Ramsdale's the number one. I couldn't sit here and say Raya is the number one for me as a fan. Clearly, Raya is the number one. But as you said, I think they're both kind of in the same bracket. They're both good. They're both not elite. I must admit, you know, obviously, respectfully to Brentford, I must admit, I thought when Raya signed, we'd see a bit more from him in that per se. But yeah, it is what it is, man. God bless yourself. Man said Ramsdale snatched Leno's chain, then got snatched by Raya. It's a vicious circle, man. And they all have an error in them, man, especially these new age goalies. Imagine Liverpool fans complained about Lovren being replaced by Van Dijk. Fan favourite boys are cancerous, just Arcs United. I mean, fans always going to have favourites, in it, and I do like it, but I do think, not necessarily in relation to Ryan Ramsdale, the more we're moving forward as a club, these things are going to happen. There may be a time where, you know, I love Bukayo Saka, and I'm sure you lot do as well. But if there was somebody on the scene that is a better right winger than Bukayo Saka, that is attainable for this football club and help us get to where we get to, I think you'd be foolish not to say that, really. And there might be a time where Odegaard, Odegaard, Saka, Saliba, they're not necessarily one of the first names on the team sheet. So it's an interesting one. But we have had this goalie situation. We've been here with Leno and Martinez. We've been here with Leno and Ramsdale. And it is what it is. Now, I obviously, I feel Ramsdale's pain. You're not playing in the Prem. You're not playing in the Champs. Obviously, every time you play or don't play, there's the Raya thing hanging over your head. I feel sorry if you signed a new deal. I feel sorry for you. But right now, we're ticking over, really. You know, we're getting it done. You know, once you get your opportunity, grab it. And he didn't grab it against Brentford, where he didn't really have too much to do, essentially. I was thinking about it, and I'm not sure our chance creation is much worse. I looked last year at stats for Bournemouth, Chelsea, Brentford, Everton, and Palace away, and we are testing the keeper similarly. I hear that, but I think there's no way on God's green earth, regardless of us scoring 80 goals, scoring 20 this year, that we are playing anything near to our true potential in terms of chance creation. Brentford goalie did not have to do much. Fair enough. You know, we obviously got the goal at the end, and VAR done us a bit dirty, but I don't think we're creating enough. I don't think we're creating enough to just assume Vlahovic, Osimhen, Tony, whatever striker you want signs for this club, and our fortunes change. But keep your opinions coming, man. Bro, this is stupid. Curtis is nowhere an Arsenal fan. He's hating our players, and when they score, he sucks balls from everyone. Hey, louder language, man. And what I would speak up Curtis, but I don't know what Curtis has said. Like I always say, everyone's free to have an opinion, really and truly. So be harsh, man. You know, big up Curtis, but everyone's free to do what they want to do. But with the greatest respect to anyone, fuck what anyone else is doing, man. Let's focus on what we're doing in this discussion. It's like when they say I wouldn't swap Martinelli for Mbappe. I'm not gonna lie, my heart, I wouldn't want to do it, but boy, if it was Mbappe, is what it is. If there was a manager, if there was a young Arsene Wenger on the scene for when he first came into England, if there's Sir Alex Ferguson, if Pep Guardiola said, you know what, I want to leave City for argument's sake and sign for Arsenal. I love Mikel Arteta, but boy, like it is what it is. You know, it would have to happen. Really, I don't want to settle, man. It's been a pattern for weak lack of chances. I agree, man. I agree. And I go back to the Newcastle game. Newcastle's Nick Pope had F all to do, man, if I'm honest with you. Yeah, we are not creating enough, but not sure we are creating enough last season, but the expectations are completely different. I hear that. And it's a weird one because, you know, there hasn't been too many games we've struggled to not score eventually. Well, Newcastle this season, as I said, we got 80 odd last year, but I just feel, you know, that could give you a certain comfortability because it shows that there is foundations in place to go and do that, but I don't think we're doing it enough. When we're trying to fight for a league title, there's going to be times like even against Brentford, to be brutally honest, we could have drawn that game and had complaints and been frustrated. But in the grand scheme of what we saw from both teams, a draw was probably a fair result. Now, as we know, football's a weird game. Sometimes you lose when you play amazing. Sometimes you play rubbish, don't deserve anything, and you grab 3 points. It's a weird one, man. Really and truly. Learn the language. I'm not sure what you mean there, man. The only reason not to swap a player for another is to deal with homegrown rules. Ryan and Ramsdale both qualified for homegrown, so not a problem with the switch. Sad, but that's football. There you said it's football. Big up DJ. I just want us to get a clinical striker and a decent midfielder, but that's not too much to ask for in Jan. I think a striker is probably too much to ask for, rightly or wrongly, in January. I would love one as well, but I just want to see us address midfield. For me, anything beyond that is an absolute bonus, essentially, people. Let's see exactly what's going on in the latest news and all these things. Apparently, Fabrizio Romano has said Arsenal have Douglas Luiz on top of midfield list, but Aston Villa have no plans to sell him. And you would have seen in the second half, especially, played very well against Aston Villa, put a sexy cross in for Pau Torres to head home. And there's a lot to like about Douglas Luiz, but January is probably not the time. And rightly so. If I'm Aston Villa, you got a mid 65, 70 million, the similar fee for Kai Havertz to even get a conversation out of me. Emre said he's playing very good and he's committed. He did recently sign a new deal. Aston Villa have actually, I swear they've overtaken Spurs, you know, the October Premier League winners in the Premier League. So we'd have to see. We all know it comes down to money with Douglas Luiz. Can't pay, take it away. For what it's worth, though, ESPN are saying Arsenal are eyeing up a reshuffle of their midfield in January, with Aston Villa's Douglas Luiz a leading target, and the future of Thomas Partey uncertain, sources have told ESPN. Arsenal had 3 bids for Luiz, rejecting in September 2022. The final offer totaling around 25 million. Boy, should have just whatever they were asking for then cannot be what they're asking for now. So hindsight's a wonderful thing. He is contracted until 2026. Allegedly, Arsenal's interest remains, but they would likely have to make a dramatically improved offer to convince Aston Villa to allow Luiz to leave in the middle of such a promising campaign. Arsenal have limited funds available after spending more than 200 million in the summer. Significantly, their deal to sign Raya from Brentford was structured initially as a £3 million loan with an option for a permanent move worth around 27 million. That was obviously to aid our financial fair play rules. They could raise money for new signings with Partey's departure. Now, Partey, I think he's gone in the summer, but in January, especially because he's going to be off to the African Cup of Nations, he's obviously coming back from an injury. Are we really going to be flooded with offers for Thomas Partey? And to be honest with you, does it make sense? You know, I personally would actually keep Partey for another season. I would find his replacement, but keep him for another season and then let him go in the summer of 2025. But if he is to move on, it is what it is. I think the club will say, do you know what? There's a chance to shed him off the wage bills. But does it make sense to even let Eddie Nketiah, Reece Nelson, Smith Rowe, Balogun, Partey, even Jorginho, Kyrgios? It doesn't make sense, in my opinion, to let these guys go in January. From August, you've seen hella injuries. And there's a lot of football from January to the end of the season. And in the last 2 years, when we lost out to Spurs on top 4 and ultimately failed in the title bid last season, you saw at the tail end, we have to rely on certain players for far too long, and we don't have the best depth. It does not make sense, really and truly. I mean, if you assure me that there's that younger Partey model ready, smash the like button, then I'm all for it, people. But yeah, and to be honest with you, if you was trying to buy Partey, surely you ask for him on loan in January, or you don't bid anything clear to what Arsenal's worth, or you wait until the summer where obviously he's got a year left on his deal, position of weakness in terms of stuff. Spurs are where's my mouse? Spurs are the first team to go 10 undefeated and then lose 3 in a row. So Spursy, long may it continue. We will be playing Football Manager later, Manny. Rest assured, man. Rest assured. But yeah, as you lot can see here, raise funds. But who is going to raise funds at this football club in January? Like, really, you could say Ramsdale could be sold, potentially Ed Nketiah, Smith Rowe, Nelson. As I just said, I don't think it makes sense. He has primarily been linked with moves to the Middle East, and the Juventus links have probably been here since he signed for the club. Reports in Italy said Juventus are tracking Partey. Sources have told ESPN that Arsenal considered allowing the midfielder to leave in the summer, but a suitable offer failed to materialize, and reports clubs in Saudi Arabia were also interested at the time. Arsenal are open to keeping Partey, but it remains to be seen whether a club formalises their interest, as his departure would give Arsenal more financial clout to test Villa's resolve in keeping Luiz. Mikel Arteta may choose to prioritise other areas, however, given they're also tracking Ivan Toney and Pedro Neto. A wide man, a striker, and a centre mid, they're all of priorities, but it does not make sense. Like, we need them all, but we need to address midfield. It wouldn't, for me, it would be quite stupid to just, if we signed Osimhen in January, I wouldn't be happy. I honestly wouldn't be happy. Of course, I'd be ecstatic. You signed a bad striker, he's sick and whatnot. But, you know, the midfield, there's too many question marks. And Declan Rice is due a bad performance, really. You know, he's a brilliant player. He's a brilliant player. He's playing a hella consistent, but he's not Superman. If Declan Rice gets injured or has an off day, pardon my language, we're pissed in midfield, if I'm completely honest. The midfield options, collective options, it's not there. I like Jorginho, but when you're looking at a man to play 20-odd games, it's different. The same goes with El Nene. Partey's a quality player, despite the fact he was fit for 40-odd appearances last season. This season, he's not about. Declan Rice is the only one that, you know, I've got real confidence with out of all of the pivot men. I don't think they're bad players, but it's just not enough. And there's two, you know, you look in our defensive third, there's a lot of there's really no question marks. All the, you know, some players have better strengths and weaknesses, but we've got longevity there. We've got different options up front of clear. Well, our forward options, of course, you would like another winger, another striker, but you got the Sakas, the Trossards, the Martinellis. You know, Nketiah has shown he can do a role. Nelson has shown he can do a role. I think the midfield and Edu and Arteta, you were central midfielders. I don't know what's going on there, but let's keep it moving, people. Apparently, Manchester City have surprise plan to re-sign Aston Villa's Douglas Luiz. Now, they have the financial clout. He's obviously been there before, and he is better than Calvin Phillips, and it would present him with a chance of probably winning a lot of trophies. Aston Villa have an exciting project, as do we, but City are the big dogs. I don't think Aston Villa fans or the club could have anything to say if he did want to angle for that move, although they would make it difficult. But you know, you're probably game time, unless you do a madness, is going to be limited. Apparently, they have a strong interest in re-signing him. Not quite sure. Oh, well, they're actually also interested in Ruben Neves, two players that maybe potentially would like at Arsenal. But again, these rumours and actually what's going to happen are two very different things. Football Insider has also said the Gunners are keen on both Vlahovic and Ivan Toney after deciding to shake up their attacking options. Both players and their profiles are admired by Mikel Arteta, who wants a more physical presence in his front line. Toney and Vlahovic would provide that when compared to current forwards Jesus and Nketiah, who are similar in stature. This is said, I'm told Juventus could be forced to sell Vlahovic in 2024 due to their financial situation, maybe because he's at loggerheads over a new deal, but are unlikely to part with him mid-season. Brentford are set to ask for big money to sell Toney in January, meaning Arsenal would have to wait until the summer to get their man, allegedly, folks. So there you have it. Arsenal get positive Vlahovic message, but rule out move for Newcastle target. Apparently, Arsenal have received positive information from Juventus over a potential January deal for Vlahovic. I just think the bulk of his rumours or Arsenal's signing Vlahovic is because we need a striker. We've been linked with him before. And every time you type his name in, it seems like Juventus are struggling financially, but also trying to get him to sign a new deal. He scored at the weekend, I believe, as well. And obviously at 23, there's a lot of upside, but I'm not too sure I believe in this, people. Arsenal allegedly also still have an interest in Marcus Leonardo. Smash the like button if you haven't. Apparently, we will not make a move for Ruben Neves, says Romano. The top target is Douglas Luiz from Aston Villa. There's nothing with Ruben Neves, despite rumours. But for Douglas Luiz, from my understanding, it's not an easy deal. Arsenal will try. Arsenal dream of him, but it's not something concrete. Trying in life, all you can do is try. But getting players down the line and signed is a completely different thing, man. So I'll believe it when I see it. Douglas Luiz has 15 goal contributions in 2023. Only Bruno Fernandes and Maddison have more. And to be fair, on top of the obvious things you would like about Douglas Luiz, the fact that he could take set pieces, surely that's got to be an attraction for Arsenal, really and truly. Moving away from that, apparently Brentford's chief Giles has admitted he has not received any inquiries for Toney, but he will see what is happening. Should Arsenal make the call, he told BBC Radio 5 Live, if my phone rings between now and then, I'll see what's happening, but I'm not really focused on that at all. Again, rumours to actually bidding are very different things. He then went on to say, I have a lot to do and spend less time worrying about Ivan's situation than others. With Thomas Frank, it's a case of getting him ready, getting him fit, getting him some practice games in. And then the expectations is he'll come back into the team. So probably one that does not move on in January, people. He's also said, I've never had one call in 3.5 years about Ivan Toney in terms of interest in buying him. If my phone rings between now and then, I'll see what's happening, but I'm not really focused on that. Probably a bit of a white lie there. And I mean, all the in the knows of this world, again, I'm not one to read into the in the knows and these Twitter dons, but it just gives us great conversation. Allegedly, Victor Osimhen is Mikel Arteta's first choice striker target. No movement expected for Arsenal in the transfer market up front until his future is decided. Osimhen will decide between Arsenal and Chelsea. I just think the ex-Chelsea players are like John Obi Mikel, his fellow countrymen. I think they're doing the pardon me, the groundwork, and they're probably a bit more desperate for a striker than us, really. Team News and Ticks has said, this is true. Not sure about him deciding between us and Chelsea, although that's logical. The rest is definitely correct. So again, we'll have to see. And if you remember last year, Charles Watts said Victor Osimhen's agent flew in for talks with Arsenal. And then a follow-up tweet said, you know, Arsenal have met Osimhen's agent at Coley in the past. He will obviously prefer a move to Arsenal over Chelsea, like Declan Rice with only a year on his contract. He should be attainable for around 120 million. I think 100 million to 120 million for a year on his deal is probably just about right. But there will be a fight for him. And to be honest with you, I don't know for this obviously preferring. I think there's reasons to want to sign for Arsenal. I think there's reasons to want to sign for Chelsea. Probably get a lot more money at Chelsea. You know, it's still an exciting project. They have won a Premier League and the Champions League way before us. I don't think you can write off Chelsea. Now, of course, we've got an exciting project. You could spearhead it. There's plenty of reasons. You know, we've got a lot of African fans as well as Chelsea. But I just think when, you know, if it's him who's previously said, I watch United and Chelsea, you think of the Jogbas, the Mikels, and we'll be here all day. I wouldn't say he obviously prefers a move, really. And it all depends how much we think he's worth. But apparently he's Mikel Arteta's favourite and first choice signing, which would be great for us. But again, rumors until people are signing, who knows? Football Transfers have said Chelsea are eyeing up moving for him in January, and he wants to move. Allegedly, people. Apparently, they exclusively revealed in September that Chelsea were pushing for Osimhen and were ahead of Arsenal in the race to sign the hitman, whatever that means. And as we know, he's got 18 months left on his deal. And I don't think you could even rule out him just signing a new deal at Napoli, even though I don't think that'd be the case. We hope his former teammate Gabriel could put a word in for us, people. Apparently, Napoli have reiterated their desire to retain the Nigerian, but they will likely be forced into a sale by summer at the latest. It's unthinkable for the club that he would leave as a free agent. And obviously, Napoli find these players and develop them and sell them for good money, and they will make a profit on Osimhen. But they spent a lot of money on him from Lille. So we'll have to see in that regards, people. Apparently, Wolves are eyeing up Aaron Ramsdale on a loan deal with an option to buy, with current starting goalkeeper Sarr attracting interest from Saudi pro leagues. I mean, I wouldn't let you go on loan, because who the hell is going to be our second or third choice keeper if something happens? One love to Carl Hine and James Hilson. They're not levels. It's simple as that for what we want to do. I'm not on it. So forget about all of that. Allegedly, Arsenal and City are among Premier League clubs watching 15-year-old Denmark prospect Tristan Aldcroft Pendero, with the Copenhagen midfielder also eligible to play for England. There's actually a goalie that plays in Germany that's eligible to play for England, and he could be a decent second choice keeper for what I've seen. I can't remember his name, but I expect us to be looking at youngsters. You know, he's 15, 16, so we can't make the move to England anytime soon. In fact, then again, the fact that he's eligible to play for England means a family member's English. It means you might be able to get around that, but never seen him play, people. But yeah, I'm sure we want to find the stars of tomorrow. Obviously, our Chido Obi Martin probably could give us a good reference of him also being in the Danish setup. Cynically, why are they not in the England setup then? Like, are they as good as we think? But who knows? The future of Aaron Ramsdale at Arsenal is under great uncertainty, and several clubs are eyeing up a January move. As we've said already, people, Newcastle continue to be linked with a potential move, but sources have confirmed to Team Talk they're happy with Nick Pope. I mean, everyone's interested. Whether they'll make Arsenal an offer we can't refuse is a completely different thing. This was Raya's actually given an interview recently, people, and he said he talked about the goalkeeping coach changing the way he sees football. And then he said, it was Mikel I spoke to. The exposure and pressure is greater, but you want that because it's part of being at a big club. You have to deal with that. Then he said, people, well, that's you saying that. I'm not getting involved. Everyone has their opinion. If people want to debate, let them. I have a very good relationship with Aaron, and we're both there to help the team. The manager chooses who plays, and that's it. There's always going to be debates, all the more so at a club like Arsenal. Then he said, in every game, there'll be a mistake. The thing is, when a goalkeeper makes it, it's more visible. You have to have the right mentality not to get affected. I don't think you can train for the precise moment after an error. It's something within you. My feeling is that leaving home so young, being away from my parents, meant I had to mature much sooner. And that's what has made me so strong mentally. An error shouldn't affect you on the pitch. Afterwards, maybe. The goalkeeper is isolated. If there's a mistake, it's best not to think about it. It's gone. You concentrate on the ball, follow it, talk to teammates, not just for their sake, but your mental state to stay focused, engaged, and ready. I think that's very mature from our goalie, man. Very mature. Aaron Ramsdale said he loves being at Arsenal, allegedly, people. And we all saw his Instagram post where he said, a feeling I never take for granted. Love being part of this club. Fans were next level last night looking out for me. Big up yourself, Ramsdale. Hopefully when your next opportunity comes, you look at, simply put, you look a lot more convincing. And once again, Wolves have been linked with him. So we'll have to see. where that's concerned. What else have we got? We've gone over Ramsdale. Obligation to buy sounds about right. I don't know about an option, people. So Wolves are the latest club to follow Newcastle, Chelsea, and whatnot to be linked to him. Wow, we've got so many Ramsdale things. Allegedly, Edu has been informed he will not be given a free pass to sign Douglas Luiz in January, and Manchester City are also on the radar. But as we know, once again, that is going to be a difficult purchase, people. There could be a reality where Ivan Toney could stay at Brentford next year, despite interest from Chelsea, Arsenal, and allegedly now Real Madrid. I mean, he could run down his deal. I don't think Brentford would allow him to. I think he's leaving in the summer. I think you have to play out these few months at Brentford and then you keep it moving. And we have heard he's not Chelsea's first choice target. And Chelsea, over the last 24 hours, rumours have linked them more aggressively to Osimhen. Genoa centre-back Radu Dragozin's agent has said, I've been in London for some time and I've already almost spoken weekly in meetings with important teams. We are getting closer. I spoke with Newcastle, with Arsenal, with Tottenham. I also have the messages with them, conversations. There are teams that ask. I want to say that 100% by next summer, Raidu will play at a not strong, very strong club, whatever that means. So I guess that means a very strong club. And again, talking with clubs, having messages from clubs doesn't mean they're necessarily trying to buy you immediately. And to be fair, it comes across as a bit desperate, really. Really. This tells me that, not that I know anything, a club that isn't Newcastle, Arsenal, or Spurs probably ends up signing him, really. It's like you talking to a girl and then she comes out and says, I'm talking to this guy, that guy, and the third. Like, are you trying to scare, they're trying to scare other clubs to get involved, really. Well, it seems agent-led, and it is your agent's job. Kyrgios still being linked with moves away. Allegedly, AC Milan are in talks with his agent to sign Kyrgios. I feel sorry for the 23-year-old because you are going to struggle getting minutes at this football club. But again, another one, I don't really care if you're upset about not playing football. You get your chance and take it, but we need you to stay for what's left of the season. Allegedly, Saka has been rewatching his games this season so he can find a solution to teams doubling up on him. I like that, but I think Arteta's got to help you out in that regards. I feel like a lot of the games I'm facing a double team with two guys on me and it's the same for Martinelli, said Saka. It's happening in every game. I keep watching all my games back, trying to find a solution, what I can do better. And I mean, boy, you think people didn't try that with Messi, Ronaldo, Mo Salah, Thierry Henry, any potent attacking player? Just got to get with it. You're going to get kicked. You're going to get doubled up against. The only times I don't see people doubling up against them is in the champs. And that's probably a cultural thing with the European teams. And to be honest with you, it's been at their detriment. So yeah, it's happening in every game. I keep watching all my games back, trying to find a solution, what I can do better. In the end, I just feel like I need to understand that this is how it's going to be this season. And I just need to deal with it and keep finding a way like I did today. That's what I need to keep doing. Big him up. He then said the manager knows a bit more how we play and it's up to us to adapt in each game to find a solution. Of course, each game is different, but we know that we can be a lot better. We're especially working on breaking teams down, but we're still getting really good results and we're top of the league, so we can be really happy. I didn't know Arsenal were top of the league. I don't look at the league table. The only time it matters is in May, but that's great if we are there really and truly. Allegedly, we were top for 248 days, but it was 248 days, not enough. Saka then went on to say, right now, we're getting good results. We're top of the league, and we're only going to keep progressing, improving, and getting better as a team. We have some injured players who are going to be back, and at the business end of the season, I really hope we can push on and do really well. Yeah, you said it, at the business end. Last 2 years, we haven't. It's nice to be back on top. We had to fight hard today to achieve that, but we're satisfied with the win and the 3 points. He then said on Kai Havertz's late winner, it shows we're going to keep going into the end in each and every game. It also shows it's not been easy for us. We faced a lot of low blocks and teams that want to sit. Credit to Brentford. They defended really well, so took it all the way to the end for us, find the breakthrough, but we managed to do it, so we're happy. And that's true. And I do like that. We have got a new mentality. We do like to fight to the end, but I want us to be more calculated and cerebral and probably score in the first 15 minutes of games. And Arteta just has to find that way of cutting low blocks or just anyone open, really and truly. Because for me, obviously, the way Brentford set up harmed us, and that tells me they've done well. If I would have done the same if I'm Brentford. But out of all the attackers we had available, we had Trossard, Jesus, Saka, Martinelli. All of us were happy with the lineup, really and truly. And in an attacking sense, was that any different from what we've seen before? Sure, we battered Bournemouth. The quality just weren't there. In the second half against Sheffield United, we ran riot. So there's still that. And that's really been there from last season. So I still think there's a lot of game management we need to improve. And from a tactical front, I think we're relatively okay defensively, even though we can cut out moments of madness. I think in the midfield, in the middle third, there's still a lot of question marks around personnel, but I do think there's been a dramatic improvement. The hardest thing to do in football is Well, the hardest thing, in my opinion, is to make the right decisions. But the hardest thing to do in football is put the ball in the back of the net. And yes, we did that 80 odd times last year. We've done it 20 odd times this year. On the face of it, it's not a problem. But for me, with my eyes, I do kind of think it's a quote unquote problem, and one that we kind of have to get over, really and truly. Havertz said, I worked hard to get these moments, people. I think the most important is always the team, and to have the 3 points is very good for me as well. Personally, you know, I worked quite hard to get these moments again, and today I got it, so I'm really, really happy. We came here to win, and it's a very good feeling to go home with 3 points. He said the ball was perfect on Saka's cross. That's something we also trained a lot in training. I thought maybe I go there, so hopefully the ball arrives, and it arrived perfect. So I'm happy to score. And to be fair, I feel sorry for you, Saka, because you and Trossard were denied another little connection goal that they've been doing. And I don't know why. You know, 1 minute, one game we were told the lines are not drawn on the ball because it's not a straight line. Then balls, the lines are being drawn on the balls when we've scored against Brentford. None of it makes sense. But all I always say is, can we handle the variables that we can handle? And we did that, in it, really and truly. And I think we're all glad that Spurs lost. GG, I think we have the perfect 8 at the club. He can pass through the lines and can tackle Zinchenko. He won't get exposed on the wing. I mean, you will get exposed in midfield. And I do think we could use Zinchenko as an 8, but there's got to be a reason Pep Guardiola was reluctant to do it. And Arteta hasn't started him organically in there. I know he runs into midfield in that inverted role. And who was it? I swear it was against Burnley or someone. He actually played there for a second in the game, but I'm not too sure. Obviously, I'm not going to go over Mikel Arteta's comments here, people. He did speak about Ramsdale, really and truly, and he was very specific on Kai Havertz, and it wasn't really in relation to Ramsdale. He said, this is football. I'm so happy with the team, with the way the team performed. We kept a clean sheet and we move on. I'm so happy. Then when asked again, people, on the players congratulating Ramsdale, it's a joy as a manager to watch this reaction. You've got players looking out for each other, encouraging each other, showing each other love. It doesn't get any better than that. Today, my 200th game. And when I see a team that behaves between them like that, and I see the star smiles, I'm so happy, and I couldn't be prouder. I'm more grateful for everyone that works for us every single day to make the job so enjoyable. I mean, Kai Havertz, can you make these moments happen for you on a more frequent basis? But there isn't really anything else to really go over. Big up yourself, American Ghana. It's the slow movement in the final third that creates the double up. Not really, because if you watch, to a degree, but if you watch the game, like, they're on to Saka from the start. They're standing next to him. I do think it's a bit with the build-up play, because Saka at times is having to drop too deep, and then you've got people doubling up against him a bit more. And this is why I think it's all in the final third. I want to see Saka receiving the ball into space on that right-hand channel, where he either can put a sexy cross in, goal for goal, kind of what you saw against Nottingham Forest, or do something. We need to put our players in goal-scoring positions where they can directly threaten the opposition. I do like the fact that we are slow and we are patient, but the key thing in life is balance. We need that. Once Tommy goes Asia Cup, Kyrgios will get minutes. Keep forgetting that. 0 chance on Wolves. I'm running banter with Ceballos, but if it comes to him or nobody, we may as well. Free Pete, I guess. Danny Ceballos is crazy. Is it time to consider Zinchenko in midfield? We don't have many options, so without a doubt, you're going to have to, really. Like, going to have to. What else have we got? Personally, I don't buy the Victor link really happening. I have time for him and would love him, but I think Chelsea would be the favourites. I don't think you're alone in that regards, man. Pick up the New Yorkers. And we could be a bit more direct, man. It just feels like, in a dumb way, I like the fact that this is evidently what we're working on in the training ground, but it feels a bit too scripted, a bit too training ground-esque. There's not that healthy bit of randomness, and I don't know how Arteta fixes it, you know, because, and I know he's not Arsene Wenger, and I'm not trying to do that, but yeah, when you think of the invincible teams and the more creme de la creme players, the Santis, the Ozils, the Alexises, all them guys that were here at the Emirates, you know, but Arsene Wenger also had us playing some effing fantastic football with, respectfully, nobody. So there is something there. I do think because of our improvement off the ball defensively, it's probably come at a cost, really. But the hardest thing to do and the most important thing to do is put the ball in the back of the net. Gabriel, Saliba and Rice are the Bermuda Triangle where strikers go missing. Ox Haaland. We need all three to stay healthy to make a run at the end of the season for the league. Depth is needed. Arteta is basically setting the team up to win 1-0 each game. He'd rather take the 0-0 than risk conceding. Disagree, because we play out from the back. We have Zinchenko going into midfield where there's a lot of space being left. And our strikers are quite high up the field. And you know, you look at Gabriel Jesus, Saka, and Martinelli and the positions they're taking up. I don't think it's negative, man. Fast football will come around March, April time. I hope so. But right now, I don't see it. And that's an issue, really, I guess. Let's be real. We've been far more injured than last season and are still on pace. Arteta has been managing his arse off this year. It's true, but any issues, obviously, injuries can happen. And I feel sorry, but you know, we've seen injuries derail our seasons time and time again. Injuries are nothing unique to Arsenal. So how far does that really go? Big up to us for keeping ticking along. And it shows how good we've really improved in that we still have concerns. We have had injuries and we're getting points on the board. But sometimes it won't always look like this. And for me, with Mikel Arteta, the one sympathy I don't have for him is in midfield, because we've seen this story several times, if I'm honest, man. Just joined thoughts on Vlahovic to the Emirates. Bring him. He's 23. Arteta aggressively tried to sign him. Make it happen. And we are still in the Champs and Premier League, you know. We're doing what we have to do. And again, now it's going to get to crunch time. It's already crunch time. From now to the end of the year, we need to come out of it really and truly still saying the same things we're saying. We're probably going to qualify from the group. We don't know when injuries can strike, which they've been striking. And when the pressure is on, like in the last 2 seasons at the tail end, will Arsenal be able to get it done? When you've got a must-win Champions League game in the latter stages on the Tuesday, Wednesday, and a must-win equally on the Saturday, Sunday, that's when we're going to see things. And I think there is elements of this, but yeah, I think it is quite lazy. I think there's reasons to be optimistic. I definitely don't get the people being ridiculously negative, but I don't think that can lead to complacency. And I still think there's chinks in our armor. There is evident concerns and ways to go better. And you know, we need to hit that higher gear, if I'm honest, man. Look at you, whiny folk. This team last season was top, playing quality football. Now it's 2023. We're at the top and playing below par, and you can play greedy. Can't have it both ways, man. Can't have it both ways. I guess that's for the footballers and the managers. You're never gonna. Everyone's never gonna be happy all of the time, man. It is what it is. Should we see if there's anything else online Arsenal related? If not, I'll let you get the hell out of here rather than bore you lot to death. Nope, we've gone over Douglas Luiz. We've spoken about Tony. We've spoken about Vlahovic and Osimhen. But even now, the time not to talk about transfers is irrelevant. We're rapidly approaching January. Obviously, December soon upon us, you know. But whatever we've got now, we have to use it. And that's one sympathy I don't have for Mikel Arteta, because I do think, as much as I like him, I think you've got something Wenger had in that you believe in certain players that are not bad players. But if you take someone that is good for 10, 15 games a season, the occasional start and whatever, and you make them a first team regular, then you're signing up for certain things. It's near enough impossible to beat Manchester City to a Premier League title. But can we say we're playing at our optimum? I'm not saying we're being negative, but can we say we're doing everything we can in the final third? Can we say we're the most street smart in terms of game management as we are? Can we say we've covered depth? Can we say there's no holes? Who really in that team? And I don't think anybody's a bad player apart from Cedric, forgive me. Who really would you bet your life that you can rely on in this Arsenal team? Who? Declan Rice would be one for me. Speaking for myself only. Saliba, Gabriel, and everyone makes mistakes, but Saliba, Gabriel, Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka. You need to start scoring again, but Martinelli. Don't really want to rely on you on goals, but Jesus, Odegaard's gone missing, but he'd be one for me. And there's probably a couple of others that I've missed out. You know, Jorginho can do a row, and his experience can never be overestimated. But there's about 20 odd games or around that this season already left. There's a lot of football to be played, and some games are not made for Jorginho. I like El Nene. Is he cut up to task? I think Eddie Nketiah can do a job. Is he cut up to task? And I'm purely talking if we're really trying to win a Premier League, because this ain't a fairy tale. This ain't Disneyland. I like what we're doing, but boy, let's just hope we can get it done, man. Absolutely not complacent, just proud of the work and optimism for the future. I'm proud of what we're doing so far, but we just got to keep it going, man. Got to keep it going. Odegaard was, but this year's been up and down. I hear that. Zinchenko would be one, but again, with Zinchenko, this is why, for me, I think, you know, the Declan Rice, the Saliba, Sakas, they're at a bit of a different level. Odegaard is great for our system, wonderful player, but sometimes he goes missing. Zinchenko is a quality left back, but you sign up for certain mistakes. You know he's not spot on defensively. Jesus is a quality player, gives his heart out there, fights for the cause, but you know he's not really going to get them goals that's required. Jorginho is going to boss it 9 times out of 10, but then you sign up for them Spurs at home games. So this is what I mean by there's players. These guys are not bad players, but if we're trying to win a league title, then we either have to accept certain guys for what they are and get players that can fill in. And to be honest with you, some of you have followed me for years. I appreciate it on YouTube. It's easy for me to sit here as an armchair expert and say we need to do this, that, and the other. But midfield should be addressed. I'm not saying everyone needs to be signed for Declan Rice money or whatever, but there should be a degree of confidence in the same way there is around Declan Rice with everybody else in midfield and indirectly everyone around the team. I expect us to finish in the Champions League spots, but reality is you're fighting this Liverpool side, you're fighting this City side and anybody else. And Just because you finished second last season doesn't mean the same thing is going to pan out. We need to earn that right all over again. Much love to you, DG. Watching while working with a client in the office. Appreciate you, H, man. If you had the choice of an 8, who would you go for? And also, why do you think there's been a drop-off in Odegaard's form? In relation to Odegaard's form, honestly, I don't know, man. I can't put my finger on it. I think before the last international break, he was kind of falling off a bit. I don't know, man. He just needs to get back with it. I guess it's just one of those things. And in relation to an 8, I don't really have a nailed on 8 that I would like, but let's just band it over midfield. I'd say Zubimendi for me, man. I just don't think Odegaard's fit. There could be that as well. Big up Desmond in the cup. Although seems like Spurs have been linked to Sancho. I like Sancho as a footballer. As a footballer, I think he's a quality player. But what is Sancho going to add to this football team, this football club at this moment in time? Does he have the ability to play for Arsenal? Yes. Does he have the quality to play for Arsenal? Yes. Does he have raw materials that I'm sure would entice Mikel Arteta? Yes. But assuming he signed in January, you ain't been playing for Man United, and I don't even know your status of training. So there's a degree of match fitness at this moment in time. You know, if he starts playing for United tomorrow and the next 10 games he gets 100 goals, it's different. But, you know, I think he prefers to play off the left. Are you blatantly better than Jesus if Jesus plays out there, Martinelli plays out there, Trossard plays out there? And the money, you know, you're not going to buy Sancho permanently. So you're probably going to take him on a big loan where it's a decent loan fee and a significant part of whatever his wages. And again, it's not my money. Don't give a crap. If he signed for Arsenal, he did the business. He does the business. But what return are we going to get? I'm not sure. We definitely need a backup for Saka, as well as a new and innovative striker and a replacement for Partey if he leaves, which seems like he will. Sancho to Arsenal. I've already touched on the Sancho part. Zubimendi to Arsenal, Douglas Luiz. Zubimendi for me, Spanish bias, man. Sancho wasn't the one. That's all there is to it. I hear that. Odegaard's first move is to control the ball instead of attack. That's why it's always sideways before looking for the dagger pass. And I don't necessarily mind that, if I'm honest. Just to touch on it quickly, where is Uncle Partey? He's been missing for a minute. It's not about, in it, really. With Partey, when he's about, he's about. He's irrelevant now. Out of sight, out of mind. The sad thing about Odegaard is that I always feel he's not creative enough, but he probably really is good enough. It's just that he came after Rosewood, and that's rough, and the guy was an alien. I think, again, it kind of comes down to what Mikel Arteta demands of him. End of the day, you know, we know what Odegaard is as a footballer. We know, obviously, he's a 10 by nature, but he's the second link when we're pressing teams after Jesus. And I think he's kind of typifies what Mikel Arteta does off the ball. I do think if we could find whatever this fix is to us in the final third, I think Odegaard would benefit, really. I don't think Odegaard gets enough assists for Arsenal, but I do like the fact that he found his goal-scoring touch to a degree last season. And I hope him and Martinelli in particular find it again, because that's 30-odd goals or something close to that between them. Saka is the only one in this team that I bet on to get a decent amount of goals, because you've done it in the last 2 years. I like Jesus. I think you have the quality and the ability to get 20 league goals as a minimum, but you ain't done it. So, you know, Martinelli and Odegaard, you did it for the first time last season. I wouldn't be surprised if you do it again, but I would be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't do it or do it better yet, because they're very volatile. There's not really any confirmation around these players, if I'm honest. And again, in line with what our project is, that's cool. I like it. It is what it is. But if we look at City, who are the big dogs, and I'm sure a lot of you want to win the Premier League, they've got confirmation around players. This is the industry. What did you make of the Saka to Madrid links? Shows we're doing all right, really and truly. I mean, if you want Saka, buy him, but make sure you give us Vinicius Jr. I think Odegaard is told to do a new role. I think you're saying. I think Mikel is demanding something different from him. This is what. I'm not sure what you're saying there, H. This is what have a young squad will do. And I don't know what that means, my guy. Apologies. But I do think with our young squad, you still have to learn. You're old enough to learn. You've all played enough, and you're ugly enough, and you're experienced enough to learn. But you sign up for certain frustrations. But last season showed us everything. So nothing really is going to surprise me, man. If I'm completely honest. It's crazy we forgot our best players are 24 and under. I hear that. But if you're old enough to hold smoke, man. We need an Odegaard, but with dribbling skills and speed of Martinelli, Saka in the 10 role. I'm not sure about that. I think Odegaard's all right. I just think a lot of our improvements could be done on the training ground. If we could be a lot more street smart, if we could learn to break down low blocks, if we could just be a bit more experienced. And while I think we've improved defensively, cut out some of those brain farts, I think there's a lot that we have to maximize at London Coley day in, day out, if we want to be title contenders, not just for this season, but as long as Mikel Arteta is here, as long as we're breathing as Arsenal fans. Then after that, clearly a midfielder, a striker, a winger, and anything else Mikel Arteta demands or what we think we could bring into our squad. Because for me, I think we need 2 to 3 midfielders. If it's up to me, you bring in 3. You have Declan Rice. You've got these 3 new midfielders. You've got 2, but Declan Rice, another 6, 2 8s. And yeah, that Bob's your uncle. If you want to keep Partey, let him hang around, great. I still think you need a striker. Still think you need a winger. If we could get another Tomiyasu Timber type that can cover 3 positions in the back 4, great. I wouldn't be against a fullback that could play on the left or the right. I wouldn't be against a potential another centre back, man. Of course it does, man. To answer your question about Odegaard, but you know, form is temporary, class is permanent. I don't think, I'm not too sure better yet because I don't want to put it into existence if Odegaard and Martinelli will get those handsome goal returns. But I think everyone will return to form sooner rather than later, man. We have to hope. But yeah, man, with that being said, I don't want to waste any more of you lot's time waffling and rambling. I'm trying to keep it short and sweet. I appreciate you lot for tuning in on Twitch and YouTube. Make sure you smash the like button. Make sure your notification bells are on because videos are coming out all the time. There won't be a watch along for Arsenal versus Lens on Wednesday because I'll be at the game, but we go back to normal scheduling against Wolves people. And to be honest, I got to make it up to you. So we'll watch a Champions League game tomorrow. But yeah, man, check out all the other bits and pieces of the content. I hope you've all started Monday brilliantly. Thank you for this 46 minutes. I'll be back again when there's something newsworthy, man. Peace.
Always just that active and defending. I think it's like